And Franklin Delano Roosevelt wanted to devalue the dollar. He wanted to devalue the currency. He wanted to print more dollars. And so they had to actually do something so they could devalue the dollar. And the way they did it was put that executive order in place, and then they revalued the dollar to $34 per ounce, a devaluation. And now you have to ask yourself the question, is the United States on the Bitcoin standard? Technology will advance. Bitcoin is the best, most profitable use of computer power in order to protect money. If technology advances, you got to believe that the people most incentivized to use the technology will be the one with the trillions of dollars of money to protect. It will go there first. All those advances will be first implemented into the Bitcoin network to defend the network. They won't be used by teenage boys to attack the network. What is Bitcoin? It's clean, silent, programmable, immortal money, right? What's it worth? It's worth half of everything.
What if Bitcoin could change everything? Michael Saylor believes it's not just a possibility, it's a revolution waiting to happen. Get ready to uncover why Bitcoin could become the world's dominant currency and the risks that come with it. You won't want to miss this.
You know, raw Bitcoin is you buy Bitcoin, and you self-custody it, and the next is you buy Bitcoin with a custodian. But more domesticated, a simple domesticated Bitcoin is IBIT and FBTC. I buy it through BlackRock, right? And that's a lot easier to handle. We're back to $900 trillion of capital. Real estate investors, they want to buy something that looks like real estate, right? And bond investors want to buy something that looks like a bond. And preferred stock wants to buy something that looks like preferred stock. And some people want half the upside as a capital gain, but they don't want the downside. So they got to buy something like a convert. And options traders, they want to trade options. So when Bitcoin first came out, there were none of these things. And then for a while, there was an entire crypto economy that was created offshore, too much colorful drama and anxiety, like the FTXs of the world, etc. Well, those are unregulated crypto exchanges, and conventional, traditional, regulated investors can't trade in that. And it's probably good they didn't, right? Because most of them failed. So what we're watching right now since 2020 is the creation of the institutional vehicles in order to invest in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's digital energy. Satoshi figured out a way to both transfer and store, to basically store and channel energy through cyberspace without an intermediary. That's a profound breakthrough, because that means I can put $1 billion in cyberspace. I can move it 60 times a second. I can hold it for 1 million years. And I'm not facing counterparty risk to a bank, a country, a currency, a corporation, right? A culture, a commodity manufacturer. And so that's a profound idea. We're 15 years into the innovation. We're only 4 years into the crazy years. And really, January 2024 was really the beginning of this era. Maybe this is year 0 of institutional adoption. When we have regulatory acceptance, bank acceptance, and accounting acceptance of Bitcoin, those 3 planks, that's year 1 of adoption. And when do you have that? Well, you kind of got 75% regulatory acceptance since we got these ETFs. Not all, most. When we have IBIT trading on the options market, that's a big step forward. And when you can do in-kind create and redemptions of the ETFs, you've got full regulatory acceptance of the asset. The asset moving from private to public hands and moving into regulated entities, it does a bunch of things. It decreases the volatility. It decreases the risk of loss. It decreases who do you trust more as a custodian, FTX or Fidelity, right? Or Vanguard or State Street, right? And if you walk down the street and you said, would you put all your family's money in an offshore entity without a headquarters run by 5 dudes without an auditor? Or would you put it with a bank that's too big to fail in the US, right? Like at the end of the day, you have an OG crypto community that's very hardcore about it, but if you look at where all the money is, 99.9% of the money is actually in the traditional economy. And in the war for the future of money, the war is going to be won with money, right? I mean, right, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is capital. Who's going to actually decide who's the winner or the loser? The people with the capital. And so where's the capital? It's at Vanguard, Fidelity, State Street, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. They're all regulated entities of sorts. So when Bitcoin is held by those entities, it becomes regular and normal. And, people would no more think about seizing that than they think about seizing a building in the middle of Manhattan or seizing, the S&P Spider assets. Why would you do that? That's just the capital that you built the country on. Bitcoin is digital capital. It's 1,000,000 times smarter, 1,000,000 times faster, 1,000,000 times stronger, 1,000,000 times more elegant than analog capital, physical capital, and financial capital. And it's simply a technology transformation. Gold was the monetary asset backing the dollar. The dollar was literally $20 to the ounce of gold, right? And so the problem was the country was on the gold standard. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt wanted to devalue the dollar. He wanted to devalue the currency. He wanted to print more dollars. And so they had to actually do something so they could devalue the dollar. And the way they did it was put that executive order in place, and then they revalued the dollar to $34 per ounce, a devaluation. And now you have to ask yourself the question, is the United States on the Bitcoin standard?
Maybe we will be soon.
But the point really is we're not, right? It's totally not a reasonable comparison. Franklin Delano Roosevelt didn't seize every car and every watch and every piece of real estate and every piece of equity in the United States.
So far, we've uncovered how Bitcoin's scarcity and decentralized nature make it a groundbreaking store of value, and why institutional backing is crucial for its future. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Michael Saylor doesn't just see Bitcoin as an investment. He believes it's the future of money. With Bitcoin, transactions can happen instantaneously, globally, and without the burden of exorbitant fees. Saylor argues that this is an inevitable reality. As more people grasp the benefits of Bitcoin, the momentum for adoption will only grow. Moreover, with over 200 million people already holding Bitcoin-backed assets, we're witnessing a massive shift in public perception and usage. What risks might emerge as Bitcoin becomes more integrated into our lives? Keep watching to find out how Saylor envisions Bitcoin shaping our economy in the coming years.
The Bitcoin network used to generate hashes 1,000 joules per terahash. It took 1,000 joules to generate a terahash. And then it was 500, and then it was 100, and then it was 50, and then it was 30, and then it's 15. And the next will be 5, and it'll be 1. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that computers get better, semiconductors get better, the network gets more secure. Bitcoin is the most cyber-resistant, the most powerful digital network on Earth. It's the hardest thing to hack. So when someone pitches quantum computing, it's a degenerate 20-something crypto trader that wants you to buy his yo-yo quantum coin and make him rich because he's got a yo-yo quantum algorithm. And I just shake my head because I think, who could be so stupid to fall for this kind of alarmism? It's ridiculous and a waste of time. But having said it all, the generic statesman-like answer is technology will advance. Bitcoin is the best, most profitable use of computer power in order to protect money. If technology advances, you got to believe that the people most incentivized to use the technology will be the one with the trillions of dollars of money to protect. It will go there first. All those advances will be first implemented into the Bitcoin network to defend the network. They won't be used by teenage boys to attack the network. Like 99% of the real money went into the Bitcoin network. Everything else you read about in crypto, right? All the other crypto assets that might be a store of value. I'm not counting the stable coins because they're just dollar pegged. But everything else probably doesn't even have 8 billion. It might have a few $1 billion, right? So it's like 99% to 99.9% dominant. And then you go to the political power. Well, there's 420 million crypto people that love crypto, but what's the reserve asset of crypto? It's Bitcoin. 420 million voters, and then 200 million people that hold an instrument backed by Bitcoin. So what's the source of the network? Political power, electrical power, digital, computer power, economic power, right? That's the source of power of the network. And it's like Bitcoin is both the economically sound asset and it's the ethically sound asset, but it's a big tech digital network. It means that I can move $100 billion a million times a second. Okay, so what is Bitcoin? It's clean, silent, unprogrammable, immortal money, right? What's it worth? It's worth half of everything. It's not worth the other half. It won't fly you. What is it? It's economic energy. It's the other half, right? It'll solve half the world's problem. I give you a battery that doesn't lose its power. Bitcoin is digital energy. If you want your company, your family, your endowment to last forever, you have to capitalize it with an asset which doesn't degrade at the rate of the dollar is 7% a year for 100 years. When you lose 7% of your energy for 100 years, you lose 99.9% of whatever you are over 100 years. And the only alternative is you got to be an investor. So I see Bitcoin as a profound step forward for the human race, because for the first time, economics, crosses from being an art to being a science. For the first time, you have perfect money or a perfect capital asset, non-defective.
The future of Bitcoin is not just a possibility, it's a reality that's unfolding before our eyes. Michael Saylor's insights highlight the incredible potential of Bitcoin to transform how we think about money and value. As we've seen, while there are risks, the opportunities for growth and innovation are immense. If you're curious about the future of finance and want to stay updated on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency trends, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. The revolution is just beginning. Don't miss out.